All right there, everyone. Hi there, it's Michelle McLean, your health coach skills mentor here with another tutorial. And today we're talking all about how to break the shoulding cycle with your health coaching clients. So what I want to do today is explain a little bit about what shoulding is. If you're not familiar with that, I'm sure once I explain it, you're going to totally get it because we all do it and our clients usually do it as well. So I want to get into it a little bit in terms of what it is, how it shows up in health coaching, and then I've got 4 tips for you in terms of how we can help our clients and ourselves break the shoulding cycle. So, we do hear this fairly often in health coaching. And so I just wanted to share with you first, before we get into the sort of psychology of it all, what does this sound like, right? What might you hear from your health coaching clients, or what might you even be saying to yourself? So shoulding sounds like, I should be healthier. I should exercise more. I should eat less sugar. I should lose weight. I should be better. Right? Just I should be better. It also sounds like shouldn't. So it could be a should or a shouldn't. So I shouldn't eat sugar. I shouldn't drink so much wine. I shouldn't watch so much TV, right? So all the shoulds and all the shouldn'ts that we tell ourselves all the time is what it sounds like. And this term shoulding was actually coined by a psychologist named Clayton Barbeau, who said, basically what shoulding is putting pressure on yourself to do or be something based on what you're supposed to do or be, right? So it's this belief that we should be a certain way or do a certain something. So when we use those words should or shouldn't, really those are self-defeating words, right? They're a form of limiting belief. They're essentially stories that we're telling ourselves about the way things should be or the way we think they should be. So when we should on ourselves, when our clients should on themselves, it can really lead to feelings that we're bad, that we're wrong, that we're not good enough, that we're failures, we're incompetent, or we really lack self-control in a specific area of our life. So essentially, at the end of the day, these are all feelings around guilt and shame. So that's really at the root of shoulding. It's shame, right? It's a real dark black hole that we can get sucked into really quickly, but sometimes it's hard to get out of. So the tips that I share a little later are going to help you help yourself or your health coaching clients to get out of that shoulding cycle. So, when we talk about shoulding, it's almost like, our clients or we feel like there's this ultimate rule book out there in the world, right? About the way things should be, the way we should or shouldn't do something. And it's like we have this obligation to live up to that, right? Or do what we think. So, where does this come from? Where does this, ultimate rule book come from? I think, so much just in, our self-talk, our own life's experiences, but of course the internet, social media, especially in health and wellness these days, right? There's so many gurus out there and there's research, but we've come to believe that certain things are good, certain things are bad, certain things are right, certain things are wrong, right? So there's a ton of rules and guidelines and protocols that we feel we should be following when it comes to our own health and wellness. So like I was saying, it kind of comes from this labeling of things as good or bad, right or wrong. So sugar is bad, therefore I should not eat sugar. And therefore, if I do eat sugar, then I am bad, right? You see how that goes. Exercise is good. So when I don't exercise, I feel guilty and therefore I am bad, right? Or we can turn it around to a positive. I should be doing something good. I do the good thing, so therefore I am good, right? So it really, feels like there's these shoulding police out there, right? And they're telling you that you're not good enough. You are not enough. And, what we do is we take this thing that we've labeled as good or bad, And when we do the thing, either we do it or we don't do it, then we label ourselves as either good or bad. So we take that like little one behavior and we really amplify it to mean this is who I am as a person, right? So just because you did one thing, it does not define you in terms of who you are as a person, right? But that's what happens in the shoulding process. So inevitably, if we keep shoulding ourselves, if our clients keep shoulding themselves, that's really going to take a toll on our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and our own self-compassion. And of course, the more and more we should on ourselves, the less likely we're actually going to be to do the behavior. The less likely, we're actually going to do the behavior. So I think it's pretty clear now. Hopefully that gave you a good sense of what shoulding is and what it looks like, how it might show up with your health coaching clients. And now I've got 4 tips that can help you coach your clients through this. Again, you can always use these with yourself as well if you're finding that you are shoulding on yourself a lot. So the first thing is really to become aware, with your client that they are shoulding on themselves. So it is a red flag with our clients if we hear this kind of language over and over again. Chances are our client is going to be stuck and not going to be able to move toward their health and wellness goals. So it is a red flag. It is something we should discuss and notice. So really the number one thing is to become aware of it, right? So we might want to, highlight that with our clients if they are not aware. So you may just say something like, I'm noticing that you use a lot of, the word should. So we just, again, notice it. You might want to say something like, I just noticed that you said should in relation to exercise or, healthy eating or reducing stress. So what we want to do is we want to name it, right? We want to shine a light on the shoulding behavior so your client becomes aware of it so that they know what they're doing in the first place, because they may not be aware, right? That shoulding on themselves could be a negative thing and that it could be holding them back and keeping them stuck. So when we can shed the light on it, sort of, shine the light, it can reduce a little bit the power that those limiting beliefs and stories can have on ourselves. So, I just noticed that you said should or shouldn't. Tell me about that belief. Who says you should or shouldn't do X, Y, or Z, right? So we just want to acknowledge it, name it, notice it, and just, ask and inquire a little bit about it. We are not psychologists, so we're not going to dig back into past and say, where did this come from? Or why do you believe this about yourself? We're not going to process all of that. If this comes from a real deep, traumatic place in a client's life, maybe you do need to refer them out to, further, maybe to a therapist or someone for some further exploration. But really, as coaches, our job is to highlight it, name it, notice it, and then, these other strategies that I'm going to share with you now to help your client move through it and break that shoulding cycle. So that's the first thing. Notice it, name it, shine a light on it. The second tip I have is to really start to shift the language, right, around shoulding, because it is a lot about language. So we want to reframe. We want to help our clients come up with a more kinder, gentler way, to speak to themselves and to be in the world, right, and feel about themselves, and a better way to work toward their goals. So I think an invitation could be to replace should with could, right? Instead of what should you do, what could you do, right? Just what's possible. What are the other choices that you have? We could also invite the client to use languages like I want to. So instead of I should do it, I want to do it, right? It feels like there's more control in there. There's more of a choice and more of an option. Or I can and I will. I can, be healthier. I can do more exercise. And I will, right? That's more about the commitment. I will exercise 3 times a week. I will drink, more water throughout the day. So these are much more powerful phrases, and these words are going to help to reduce some of the stress, some of the pressure, and can help your client feel more in control so that they can move forward toward their goals, right? Which is clearly our objective. So some other ways to help your client rephrase, or just some other questions you could ask your client about this. What's a new phrase that you could say to yourself instead of I should or I shouldn't? What do you want to do, right? The want is a really, really good and powerful replacement. The could, the want, the I will, I can, they're all great. But the I want is just really getting to desire, right? Instead of this, imaginary rule book out there telling us what we should and shouldn't do, what do you really want to do in your own life, right? It brings it much more personal and brings more control into it and gives your client that choice. You could also ask something like, if you knew you couldn't fail, right? If you knew you were going to be successful, if money was no object, what would you do in this instance, or what would happen, right? So we're just helping them reframe. We're helping them really look at what's possible for them and what success would look like for them. Really these types of questions, what we want to do is open our client up to the possibilities. It gives them some choice versus this narrow thinking, again, from that imaginary rule book about what they believe to be right or wrong, good or bad, should or shouldn't. So then my third tip is really to help your client get specific with a SMART goal. This is a big part of our role as health coaches, just to really help our clients come up with a goal. So I was noticing some of the examples I was saying earlier. I should be healthier, I should, exercise more. Those are fairly general and vague goals, right? So what we want to do, and our expertise comes in with helping our client really develop a SMART goal. This is just a way to articulate goals. It's an effective goal setting method that can really help your client be more successful at reaching their goals. So when your client says, general things like, I should be healthier, I should work on my stress, I should be more toned, that's when you want to come in with, okay, let's get more specific about what this means to you and what you're actually going to do. So how can we make it specific and measurable and attainable and realistic and timely, right? Our acronym for SMART goals. So instead of I should be healthier, letting your client leave the session with that really vague goal, maybe the SMART goal sounds something like, to improve my overall health and well-being, I will start walking 30 minutes outside 3 days a week in the morning with my dog. So we've got some specifics in there, right? We know exactly what your client wants to do, what they're going to commit to, and what they can do, right? So we've worked in some of those words and phrases into this SMART goal. So absolutely help your client develop a goal that's SMART. And then the fourth tip I have for you is that if your client is really, really stuck on this and you feel they might need some deeper work, some self-compassion work can be really, really helpful here, because I was saying earlier, at the root of this is, shame. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. And so if you're really finding there's that deeper piece, pointing them to some resources around self-compassion could be really, really valuable in this instance. So one of my favorite resources around self-compassion is Kristen, KristenNeff. Kristen Neff. And she has a whole host of free resources on her website. So if you just Google her and check her out, she's got a couple of books, a lot of free resources, some exercises and things that your clients can do. I always, point my clients to her if they need that deeper self-compassion work, if they're really feeling they're not enough, they're not worthy, not good enough, all of those kinds of things can really help with some self-compassion work. So I hope that was helpful for you today, these tips on helping to break the shoulding cycle, because at the end of the day, when your client feels guilt and shame, when they feel there's all these things that they should be, that they're obliged to do it, probably they're going to be stuck. And like, as we said, the more and more we should on ourselves, the less likely we are to actually take action and move forward. So hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions at all, just post them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. This will end up on YouTube, and I will send out the replay by email if you happen to be on my email list. And it will also remain here on my Facebook page and in our Facebook group. So if you're looking to deepen your coaching experience, how to handle various client situations, to boost up your confidence with your coaching skills, my Health Coaching Essentials self-study course is always available. So I will put the link to that below as well. The wait list is now open for the live Skills Lab version of Health Coaching Essentials. That's going to run this year in May and June, and registration will open up for that in April. So if you're interested to get on the wait list, I really encourage you to do so. I only have spots for 12 health coaches this time around. So again, I will put that link in the comments below as well. So thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you next time. Bye for now.